Well. Here we are, back again. Monday
Yep.
night for us, April 22nd.
Oh
How you
yeah.
doing, Parth?
Doing well, doing well. Today is the first day I haven't had fast food in a long time.
Oh my
Just
god,
a
really?
sad commentary on life, on my
Oh,
life.
what is wrong with you? That's kind of surprising. I mean, you don't look like you eat a lot of fast food, if you ask me.
I was actually going to talk about that on this episode. Let's
Okay,
just
yeah.
introduce what we're talking about first.
So, brought to you by the local fast food chains of America: McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, anything that's unhealthy and anything that's good.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
We're going to talk about today. And, being kids in America, we kind of grew up with fast food all around us, so we couldn't really escape it. And to demonstrate that, I have in front of me a special Mick and D's plate.
Mickey D's.
I know, right? So let's see here. Let's see what I got. I got a number one, which is a Big Mac, right? And then I got a side of six-piece chicken McNuggets. And let me check the receipt here. All this was $10.71, and that was including
Okay.
tax.
Wow.
So pretty decent, not too bad. I got medium fries. I got a double stack of quarter pounders, Big Mac with cheese.
Nice, nice.
Not bad, yeah. And I usually don't eat this at all, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
Like, not at all. Like, the last time I had a Big Mac was like 2012.
Does it taste good?
You know what? I'm gonna tell you right now. How about that?
Okay. So yeah, you asked me a question earlier. Yeah, you said I don't look like I eat fast food, and I'm assuming it's because I'm not overweight.
Right. That's not bad,
Um,
actually.
So, well, let's start off here, right? Weight. So from what I know, I actually got onto this workout program like last year, sometime in like summertime, and
Talk
that's
about
what
the
I
keto body?
Yeah, Kinobody actually.
Yep.
Where
Okay.
he gives you the basics of like how to build a decent looking body, right? And what I found out was, the very basics of like just generally how food intake works and what's important for having a good looking and healthy body, right? So when it comes to the basics, it all comes down to your macronutrients and your calories. And obviously, there are other important things on the side, but those are the first two things you have to knock off the list, and you have to get correct. And everything else will sort of is like an additional benefit. So, people who are overweight, it's not that they necessarily eat a lot of fast food; it's that they eat too much. And it could all be, let's say, made at home. But if they just eat a lot, then the excess calories that they take in that their body doesn't need get stored as fat. And so there's a certain level or a certain number of calories that your body needs. Calorie is basically a unit of energy that your body uses, and your body gets that food or energy from food.
Yeah.
And so typically it's your body weight multiplied by the number 15. It's somewhere around that. It depends on how physically active you are, and you can change that number. But it's typically around, so it's your body weight in pounds multiplied by 15 is your maintenance calories, meaning this is how many calories you need every day for your weight to not change. If you eat
that
over that, yeah.
Let me do some
And
math here.
yeah, go ahead, do it.
So, yeah, that's kind of interesting. What about you? What's your calculated amount of calories per day?
So it depends, right? So if the whole
Oh my
idea
God.
behind
Okay.
a good-looking body
Sure.
is that you need to have a healthy body composition, right? So more muscle and less fat. That's essentially it.
Right.
So the idea is if you want to build muscle, you need to supply your body the right amount of calories, which is typically your maintenance calories plus an extra 200 to 300 calories. And so if you go too much above that, you're going to gain a lot of excess fat. But if there's a little sweet spot there, it's around like 200 to 300 calories extra beyond your, it's a surplus of your maintenance calories. So let's say my maintenance calories are 2,600 something. I think that's what it was for me.
Oh, really?
Something like that. Yeah, it was like
Mine's a little
2,000
higher.
Yeah, well, it's based on body weight, right? So, and
Right,
I'm skinnier
yeah.
than you, and I'm shorter than you also. So,
Hey, come on, like what is this? Sorry.
2 inches, I think.
Do it.
But
You really
so,
counted it down, huh? Yeah.
so the idea is, if you want to gain muscle, right, you're probably not going to lose fat at the same time. It's very difficult to lose fat and build muscle at the same time. That's called a body recomposition. But typically, it all comes down to the foods that you eat in terms of your calories, right? If you want to lose fat, you have to eat less, and that's where your calorie mark comes down. So you have to be in a calorie deficit, meaning you have to go below your maintenance calories. So let's say my maintenance calories are 2,600 calories per day, right? If I want to lose weight, in terms of fat, I would have to go down in calories below 2,600, down to a number like, let's say, 2,000, which is something
It's
I
like a
actually...
starvation kind of diet. I didn't mean to cut you off, but is it like
No,
that where you just like fast?
no, not at all. Not at all. In fact, it's actually, you don't want to starve yourself. Starving yourself is around like 1,500 calories or less. I mean, depending on your body weight, obviously, but that's starving yourself. A calorie deficit is, I mean, you're going to be a little bit hungry, but it's just basically eating less. And you're only doing this for a certain amount of time, like a certain amount of weeks. And as you decrease your calorie intake, your body will burn fat. Now, if you go way, way too low in calories, let's say your calorie deficit should only be around 5 to 700 calories, right? So take your maintenance calories and subtract it by 5 or 700, 5 to 700. And that should be the maximum the minimum amount of calories that you need
Right.
to not lose muscle at the same time. So that first like 5 to 700 calories is where your body will take energy from fat by burning it, because fat is essentially just stored energy. So basically, you eat less, right? And then that's how you're not going to build muscle, or you're not going to build much muscle, if anything. But you will burn off fat, and that will reveal whatever little muscle or how much ever muscle you have underneath your body. But if you need to build muscle, which is the case for me, because I was just skinny, right? So I needed to eat in a calorie surplus, which is about 2 to 3, maybe even 400 calories more per day, which is a lot tougher than you would imagine. It seems like it's easy for the first day or two, and it is, but like after that, it becomes like kind of hard to
Well,
eat
yeah,
a lot.
that's a
If you're not used to
misconception,
it.
right? It's like, oh, you should be happy because you're eating more. It's like, well, your body's not used to it. And
Yeah,
first of all, or second of all, when you feel full, you don't really want to stuff your face anymore.
exactly, exactly.
So,
And you have to actually eat, even when you're full. You have to eat. It's sometimes the case is that when you're full, like you still haven't hit your calorie mark, right? So you just got to keep eating and eating. And I know I've had those days where I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to eat anymore, but I have another 100 calories to take, so I gotta like eat a little, like a little granola bar or something like that. Um,
do you think fast food, I'm going to bring it back to fast food,
sure, sure.
helps you meet that calorie mark?
It
Because fast food in
does.
general is kind of addictive in the sense that the
Yeah.
chemicals, the preservatives, the processing of the food that they do.
100%, 100%. So
Okay, yeah.
it does, and also the fact that fast food is more calorie dense too. So
Heavy.
it's
Heavy. Like, I can
yeah.
give you the. Sorry, go for it.
So um, typically fast foods are high in fat, right? So you have your macronutrients. You have carbohydrates, fats, and protein. Right, those are the three macronutrients, and we need every single macronutrient in a certain ratio, based on the number of calories that you're eating throughout the day. All right.
Yep.
So fats being one of those macronutrients, people think, oh man, if it's fats, like if a food is high in fat, I have to avoid it. That's not at all the case. In fact, you need fats for healthy functioning hormones like testosterone and everything like that. But you need it in limited amounts, and you need it in the right proportion. But anyways, fast food is just dunked in fat. It's oily. It's oils are filled with fats, right, and stuff like that. So and fat is actually the most calorie dense macronutrient. There are 9 calories per gram of fat, whereas there are only 4 calories per gram of carbohydrates and proteins. So for every gram of fat that you have, it's less space filling your stomach, but there's more calories going in. So what happens is people think it's fast food that's making people fat. It's not directly fast food. It's the fact that people are taking in more calories than than their body requires, and that gets stored as fat. But fast food, because it's so dense in fat and dense in calories, it makes it easier to eat more calories than your body requires, therefore making you more likely to be overweight. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get the point.
Yeah.
Good argument. I agree, actually. So, this whole idea of nutrition and, healthy body image and really calculating all of the facts in respect to, how much is too much, how much is too little. It's
Right.
so subjective. There's a lot of facts out there. There's a lot of articles out there. And I believe you've done your research, to be
Right.
honest. But in everybody, it's so different on the individual level, um, that I think it's everybody has their own idea about it, and that's what makes it such a controversial issue. Um,
Hmm.
you have a lot of nutritionists and doctors arguing about health, and they can never agree on something. Even people can't agree on this like particular diet that works. Like I'm pretty sure there's people out there who go against the keto diet.
Oh
So
yeah, oh yeah. I personally, I would not want to go with the keto diet. It's
oh
basically
yeah,
you're just restricting all carbs and you're eating only fats and proteins, right? Remember, out of the three macronutrients, and carbs have a very important functioning in the body, or at least, I mean,
oh,
that's based on the research I've done, right?
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm looking here, I'm eating my food right now. I just finished my Big Mac. It's not too bad actually.
Okay.
I can really taste the oil, and I can really taste some, uh, what is it, like sugar? It does taste fatty, and the cheese itself, it's just, um, it's so gooey, and it's
Right.
so, full of salt. I can definitely taste the salt in the cheese. Um, but I don't want to really know what's in it, and they're not really telling me on the website here. On the website, they have this little uh, calorie calculator, and I typed in all of my all of my meals here right now. So I got medium fries, I got a Big Mac, and I got a six-piece chicken McNuggets, and it gives me a calculation of a total of 1,140 calories,
Mm,
60 grams of total fat, 105 grams of total carbs, and 44 grams of protein.
right.
Okay, so that's a lot of carbs.
Oh
Definitely a
yeah.
lot of carbs. Yeah, and sodium right here, I got 1,590 milligrams. Sugar is 9 grams. I highly doubt that.
Yeah.
Trans fat 1 gram. Saturated fat, cholesterol 125 milligrams. All the vitamins, I guess they put that in there.
Right. So,
Yeah.
a lot of sodium. That's like a huge problem with fast foods. Is that there's just it's so salty. There's just so much sodium to make it taste better, and that sort of thing. And sodium causes a lot of like water retention apparently in the body,
Oh
and
yeah.
it bloats you up apparently. And so, but one way to
Hmm.
counter sodium is to have and eat foods that are high in potassium. So if you're someone who eats a lot of fast food, you want to balance your diet by eating things like I'll have a coconut water every day. Coconut water is extremely high in potassium. And I'll have a banana in a protein shake, let's say, for example. Bananas are high in potassium, right? So these are sort of micronutrients. One of the things I think about fast food that's so bad is that it's so deprived of nutrients that are necessary that you'll find in like fruits and vegetables. These micronutrients. So we talked about macronutrients, right? Like carbs, fats, and proteins. Your micronutrients are things like your vitamins and minerals, right? Like potassium, zinc, copper, iron,
Hmm.
and then your vitamins A, B, C, whatever.
All the vitals. Yep.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think the concept of fast food has never been a good one throughout history, and nowadays it's even more than ever. So there's many more locations, there's many more fast food chains, and it's I did a lot of not a lot of research, but I have a bunch of articles up on here, and I watched a bunch of YouTube videos,
Mm,
and they all pretty much convey the same message that one, most people who are poor in America are obese
Mm-hmm.
compared to how many people who are rich in America who are skinny. So there's that
Interesting.
kind of paradox going on. Another point they were making is fast food is so involved in social media that it's impossible to get around them. They're everywhere. They're on every social media platform. They're on all of the major cable networks. Even during the Super Bowl, they spend so much money to get their product advertised. And I have an article up here how much they actually spend in respect to Super Bowl ads. Because, when you watch the Super Bowl, everyone goes for the ads and they want to, see which one's the best one. And
Mm-hmm.
here I have the list of who paid the most for the ad spots in the recent 2018 Super Bowl. So, breaking it down, number one, automobile companies, they spent around $90 million in ads. Beer companies spent around $40 million. Entertainment, $37.5 million. Retail, $30 million. And sodas, $25 million. And
Wow.
it says here that CBS, they were the ones who broadcasted it last year. And what they were doing is they were charging $5.25 million for a 30-second commercial break during the Super Bowl.
Wow.
So this is a whole another game. There's a whole another level of advertising that we're just not understanding. It's crazy.
Right.
And here we have for the top 10 advertisers for Winter Olympics: Toyota, Jeep, Ram, Budweiser, Coca-Cola, Tide, Amazon, TurboTax, Verizon, Salute. And those aren't really fast foods. Those are mostly like consumer goods companies right there. But
Yeah.
in terms of advertising, I think fast food takes home the prize because they spent so much, just billions of dollars. And I
Right.
got to add here, not add, but a stat from Huffington Post: food companies spend around $11 billion on television ads in 2017, and 80% of that, about 8.8 billion, was spent on their unhealthiest offers: sugary soda, fast food, candy, and unhealthy
Wow.
snacks. What's more, black teens are more than twice as likely as white teens to see commercials for these items, the study found.
What?
Ooh,
Why?
that's what they're saying. The report released by the Rudd Center for Food Policy and Obesity at the University of Connecticut and co-produced by the Root Center, the Council of Black Health at Drexel University, and Salute America. At the University of Texas Health at San Antonio, looked at 2017 syndicate market research for their findings. Television advertising for unhealthy snacks and sugary drinks targeted to black viewers is up to 50% in the last 4 years. Hmm. Is that what they're saying? Okay. Because I also looked at stats per state, and Louisiana is the state with the most fast food, or not the fast food problem, but Louisiana is the highest, the one state that's has the biggest obesity problem. So I
Wow.
think they're the most obese state in America.
Right.
I think it's like for every 10 people, four of them are obese, or five, or something like that. Um,
Whoa.
yeah, it's around those numbers. And yeah, I mean, when it comes to target marketing, actually, that whole science that's going on, fast foods have pretty much perfected that kind of algorithm in respect to social media, in respect to, they really target children. That's how they really get most of the families. That's how
Yeah.
McDonald's started out. Look at them now.
Right.
Crazy. And yeah, I got a bunch of stats up here. Just in general, I got some things on Jack in the Box, McDonald's, on their whole supply chain, on how they get their food. And I got a person answering a question: how many cows are slaughtered annually to make McDonald's hamburgers? Um, and that's kind of a long article there. I got
Okay.
some weird dishes from Taco Bell,
Oh
like
no. What does
the
it say
bell.
about it?
So here are some Taco Bell servings in the past that were available but no longer are because of their lack of sales. But
Hmm.
Taco Bell, they've gotten pretty experimental, as well as Jack in the Box. We should probably get into that because Jack in the Box has all these weird dishes coming out, all these weird items. Do you remember when Jack in the Box had that stoner box? I think they still do. It's like the $5 box. that
Okay.
comes with like two tacos or something like that. But they were pretty much targeting a demographics of I would say drug users.
Right.
You know,
Right.
when you get the munchies or when you smoke marijuana or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not too knowledgeable on drugs. Sorry.
No, it's
So
all good.
I think, yeah, I mean, constantly fast food companies like Taco Bell, McDonald's, Jack in the Box, they're always trying these weird items. So, for example, items like the Bell Beefer. Um, the Beefer represented Taco Bell's attempt to combat the popularity of the fast food hamburger. Okay, so it's basically a taco burger, and they have other things like the volcano taco, a very spicy taco, the cheeserito,
Mm.
um, apparently a soft tortilla made just of cheese, the blackjack taco, cinnamon crispas, BLT taco,
Oh my God, all these
the not
tacos, man.
the not nacho crunch grilled stuffed burrito, seafood salad, chicken Caesar grilled stuffed burrito, grilled stuffed nacho, and recently they actually, I got a commercial here. I'll send you the link.
Hmm.
It's a very hot commercial with a lot of sexy girls,
Wow.
and
That's
they
how they get you,
have
man.
that's how they get most of the men. That's how they target. Carl's Jr. has been doing it. We could talk about that. But sticking on this one, Taco Bell recently released an ad on April 7th, 2019. Uh, they announced the $1 loaded nacho taco,
Okay.
and
The
apparently
loaded
it's
nacho
just
taco.
yeah. So apparently it's just a regular taco, but it just has nacho cheese or something like that, and it has these spicy chips or spicy Dorito chips sprinkled all over it.
Whoa. That sounds actually
So
pretty good.
yeah, I mean,
Cheese and
for one
chips.
dollar, bro, that's how they
Wow.
get you in the door. Yeah, that's their whole goal is to get you at the counter or at the drive-through looking at the menu.
Right.
So it's crazy how much what they do in terms of advertising.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
what was I talking about? Carl's Jr. Since we're on the topic of ads in respect to fast food,
Hmm.
have you ever seen Carl's Jr. ads? To be
No,
honest,
I think maybe I've seen a couple here and there, but
maybe during the
not
Super
in
Bowl.
depth.
No.
No, no.
Okay, because they have a history of showing uh, expressive ads, if you know what I mean,
Okay.
and it's clearly targeting toward men.
Oh
And
man, like a feminist
it's
type of
just
ad?
no. Just throughout his past couple of 10 years, past couple of decades, I can show you a couple of videos actually, um, because I think now they're controversial, to be honest.
Hmm.
And here I have a video named Carl's Jr.'s Sexiest Commercials.
Oh, oh, I see now what you mean.
Yeah. So, in case, to be blunt, it's a lot of sexual advertising. So they get these very sexy models like Paris Hilton, Jennifer Aniston, I think, and then they also have Kim
Oh,
Kardashian in the mix.
yeah, yeah. Basically, they just have like these hot girls eating burgers and licking their fingers and in a very sexual manner.
A very sexual manner. They're always in a bikini for some reason. Their skin is always like just glittering gold, and they're always
Right.
wearing. Most of them are blondes for some reason, and you know, these commercials usually have the same style to them. It's
Right.
either like playing during sports, or it's involving like a huge burger with like bacon and everything you can think of it that can give you a heart attack.
Right. Right.
And the more girls, the better.
Mm-hmm.
The less clothes, the better.
Oh
That's how
man.
they do it. Yeah,
Seriously.
I don't think they could make a commercial like that anymore in today's culture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's
They'd be
tough.
shut down real quick.
It's tough. Yeah. It would
Yeah,
get so much hate from like the feminist movement, you know.
yeah, that's true. But I'm surprised that there's not a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Dig up, or a lot of feminists or a lot of people on the left calling out Carl's Jr. on their sexist ads. I haven't really seen that
Uh-huh.
blown up on TV, on social media. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure they have talked about it, but it hasn't like reached the news where they want Carl's
Right.
Jr. to be shut down.
Do you think okay, for a second, just a quick experimentation here. Do you think the feminists would take down an ad like this because they think it's like it's like too like it's like I guess I don't know, like, oh, these chauvinist men, they're looking at these ads, and you can't objectify women and this and that. But then at the same time, they would also have reason to argue for it to stay up because women
It's
should be allowed
empowerment.
to wear whatever they want to without feeling objectified.
Okay.
Do you see the double standard there? So, or not double standard, but like the double reasoning. So what do you want? Like, do you want the ad to stay up or not? You know?
I would disagree. I think they would mostly side with the first scenario you described
Okay.
because these kind of ads are clearly targeted toward men, and I think what would get the left to get so offended by it is these women are pretty much acting in a sexual way for a man. And
Right.
that sentence right there will get them triggered. It will
Mm.
get them just fired up and angry. They'll go to Twitter, they'll go to Facebook, they'll tell everybody they know.
Mm.
I don't think for a second that they see this kind of commercial and say, "Well, that's empowerment. That's female empowerment." Anything to
Really?
do with this? Yeah, I don't think they would.
So, like, I'll give you an example, right? When a girl, like, you know how, like, in so many rape cases, girls will say, like, well, the girl should be allowed to wear whatever she wants, and the other side will say, well, you shouldn't wear, skanky clothing if it's gonna attract guys to you. And then the feminists will say, well, a girl should be allowed to wear whatever she wants, and the guy should, not necessarily objectify her. You haven't heard that argument before?
I've heard of that before, but I think that mostly applies. I think what they're keeping in mind in respect to their argument is like the workplace, social settings, when you're hanging out with friends, when you're in the classroom. So regular social settings like that. In this scenario where it's clearly a hot model who is very attractive, who's being so expressive to the viewers, I think they wouldn't agree with this type of manifestation.
Right. Okay.
But in respect to
Possibly.
that argument of uh, women can wear whatever they want. Don't tell them what to do. I think that just applies to, like I said, like the workplace and you know, uh, females on campus, things like that.
Mm.
That's what I
Right.
think.
Right.
But then again, what do I think?
So what else? What other research have you done so far?
Yeah. So in respect to, let's see here. Yada yada yada. Landscape, supersized supply chain, Taco Bell. So you know that most fast foods are franchises, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what a franchise is, it's basically it's a purchase for the name. What I mean by that is, I'm just explaining to the viewers, franchises, what they do is uh, companies will sell their name to other individual people who want to buy their name. And when an individual buys their name, they can open up a store in that name for the company. So, for example, McDonald's is a franchise company where they sell their rights or their name to individuals who want to buy them, and those individuals will run a single McDonald's premises or a certain location.
Hmm.
So, it's the same with Taco Bell. It's the same with Jack in the Box. I think it's the same with In and Out, maybe. No, In and Out's private.
Internet's private, yeah.
Yeah, and Chick-fil-A is private, I think, too.
Mm-hmm.
Because those are family companies, and so they have their own system going on. But the big players, like McDonald's, Jack in the Box, I think Sonic, Drive-Through,
Right.
maybe even Starbucks. I think they're a franchise.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Starbucks is a franchise.
Okay,
Well,
so
I mean,
they're
it's public for sure. I don't know about franchise, but
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so this is how most of fast food companies make all of their revenue. It's through real estate, pretty much.
Yeah.
So when they sell their name, and they don't really sell the land, they just sell the name. So I think what they do is they buy a bunch of land, and then they say, well, you have to, if you want to put a location here in respect to our brand and our name, you have to pay rent and also pay for the name. So
Right.
AKA the franchise. So all the fees add up,
Yeah.
and that's how pretty much they they make most of their money. So, for example, here I have an article from Eater.com, and for Taco Bell, uh, I got a few numbers here. 1.2 million is the average startup and construction cost to build the new Taco Bell. It could be up
Mm.
to 2.5 million. So that's just to start a Taco Bell, to completely construct a small Taco Bell, I guess, in a certain location. And I
Okay.
think the location depends on it too, because if you want to open up a Taco Bell like in Beverly Hills, it's going to cost way more than a Taco Bell in like Compton.
Mm.
And let's see here. The yearly sales of an average Taco Bell is 1.4 million. That's per Taco Bell. And for Subway, it's much less to open up a franchised location. And apparently Subway is franchised too. And I was actually surprised to hear that Subway is considered fast food
Oh yeah. You
because
wouldn't
it's
think so? What would
I
you
would
say it was?
initially I thought it was like a sandwich joint or a sandwich shop,
Right, right.
like an independent I don't know, drive-in, not a drive-in, but they don't have drive-throughs actually. Just a regular restaurant probably.
Mm.
They order yourself. So Subway and Chipotle have that same layout where you go through the aisle and you pick out what you want, and
Yeah,
they compile it for you in front of your face.
yeah.
So yeah, Subway is a fast food. Chipotle is considered a fast food too, but they're a special kind of fast food. They're considered like a purely organic fast food. Um, so they've gone that route of claiming the virtue of being healthy.
Okay.
But we've know they've had some mess ups in the past where they had like that whole E. coli um, situation going on where some people were getting sick from their chicken, and then stocks went down and they took a huge hit.
Yeah, I remember that. I
Yeah, that was a
specifically
big
had to
thing.
stop eating at Chipotle that time.
I know, right? It really affects business because that
Yeah.
kind of publicity, it's worldwide and
Yep.
bad for business overall. So they really learned from that.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Chick-fil-A is doing pretty good. Let's see here. I have a list of the best fast food places in America. McDonald's is number one. I know that for sure. Uh, I'll just type in here, best fast foods in general in America, and I think Starbucks was number two, something like that. Uh, favorite fast foods, 30 most popular fast foods. Yeah, it's amazing how much fast food is a part of America.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, here on eatthisnotthat.com, they have
Eat
In and
this.
Out number one, Papa Murphy's number two, Raising Cane's number three. What the hell? Four number. That's not a real list. I'm not looking for that. That's not real. Uh, fast food, 30 most popular. La, 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 la. But yeah, you usually eat Taco Bell, don't you? That's your usual go-to fast food, isn't it?
Yeah, that's my go-to. Yep. As
Any
sad
reason
as
why?
that is, I just grew up with it. There was actually an article published about I don't know how many years ago. I saw this article that basically said Indian food is similar to Taco Bell because a lot of the ingredients that Indians, especially vegetarian Indians, use are similar. And this is why, and it's not just me. You'll see a lot of vegetarian Indians going to Taco Bell. It's like one of their favorite restaurants, and the reason is because they have beans, tortillas, cheese. These are the few basic ingredients that are used in different, quantities, different styles and types, and in combination to create the different, Taco Bell products that they have, or the different food items that they have. Um,
Ah,
and so some of these basic ingredients are very similar to Indian food. We have something called rotli, which is similar to it's pretty much tortilla. It's like flour, turned into like a circular, I don't know, uh, cooked thing. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but we have something very similar, and we cook beans, different types of beans with different spices. And that sort of thing. So very similar ingredients, and it's very cheap and it's very quick. I mean that's the
very
argument for all
convenient.
fast food. Yeah, right. But um, Taco Bell, that's like specifically Indian vegetarians love that. And there was an article talking about why.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I watched a couple of YouTube videos talking about fast food in foreign countries, and apparently, Domino's and I think KFC have really expanded into India, and
Okay.
they're really affecting the health over there because in respect to the food items, they're much more unhealthy in respect to American KFCs and Domino's.
Oh
So,
yeah. Let me
oh
tell you a
yeah,
story. Oh God. So when I was in India, let's say I think it was in 2010. Um, I my aunt took me and my sister to a McDonald's, and it was horrible because there were hundreds and hundreds of flies in the McDonald's just flying around. You don't see that in an American McDonald's or any fast food chain here.
uh
It's
huh,
like it's so disgusting because I didn't even want to eat my food anymore because all these flies were like landing on the food, and I was sitting there like, what is going on here? How do you guys eat this type of food? There's a bunch of flies all over it, and so
oh wow,
I'm assuming
yeah,
they're probably in the kitchen getting on the ingredients. And flies when they step in poop and all this kind of stuff in India, like there's cows roaming the streets and like they're crapping everywhere on the streets. Like there's no sanitation, proper sanitation in a lot of the, especially the rural parts of India. So
yeah.
they get on the poop as flies are attracted to very smelly things, right? There's the whole like idea, like the comedy part of like, I'm sure in a comedy show you'll see like flies like hanging around a smelly person. It's like the same thing. Then they go to the food, and it's like that's part of the reason why people will probably end up getting sick.
Wow, that's a very disgusting image to imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
That's gotta be pretty bad over there.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty sad. Well, glad you're here.
I
So
survived.
yeah, you made it. So I'm gonna read off a list of the famous fast food items in America, according to
Okay.
TheRinger.com. So number one in America, keep in mind, the waffle fries from Chick-fil-A. That's considered to be the number one fast food item in respect to this article.
Wow.
Number two, the double double from In and Out. That's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Yep, it was a burger introduced in 1963. Still pretty good, dude.
Oh
I would
damn.
have that
That's
any day.
pretty old.
Number three, the fries from McDonald's.
Mm.
And I think the fries are very different in respect to each country. Like in America, they're very beefy flavor, and you can definitely taste that salt. In
Oh yeah.
India, it doesn't have that beefy flavor, right? Because that's against, or most Indians don't eat that beef, and they don't like that beefy flavor. So what they
Yeah.
do to substitute for it is like they add a lot more salt, I think.
Okay.
But it's still good over there. It's still addictive, I think.
Right, right. As I'm sure they kind of have to make it, right? That's the idea behind fast food. But so they actually cater uh, the McDonald's typically to the country that it's in. So the
Oh
items that
yeah.
they introduce, like I remember when I was in that very same McDonald's I just talked about earlier with the flies, they had items like chicken tikka, like this chicken tikka burger or something like that, and that's a Indian thing. Like chicken tikka masala is like a very famous Indian dish, and so they mixed and mashed cultural foods together, I guess, and they introduced it, I guess, to Indians. So
Yeah. It's
yeah.
so particular and tailored.
Hmm.
That's how they do it. Number four, chicken Popeyes. You
Okay.
never been to Popeyes, right?
I have actually. I have
Oh, you
biscuits
have?
and oh yeah, I've tried their chicken actually. Chicken strips. I had their chicken strips. They were really good actually, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
recently went this past spring break for the first time. My friend, he's like, you gotta try Popeyes. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Uh, my first reaction to it was, it definitely tasted unique. It wasn't
Uh-huh.
like any other chicken out there. Like I've had KFC, I've had chicken from other fast food joints, like
Mm.
chicken sandwiches from Chick-fil-A, but the chicken from Popeyes, it's really different. I wouldn't say it's better, to be
Okay.
honest. But they do have like the spicy, and they have the mild, and they have a bunch of sides like mashed potatoes and biscuits, which are really good.
Mm.
and the line was very long, so it was very popular.
Right,
But yeah,
right.
not bad to be honest. Number five, the chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A.
Mm.
I like them. They're pretty good. Even the spicy ones too. Have you had
Mm.
Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've actually had both their waffle fries and that chicken sandwich that you just mentioned. Only
Oh yeah.
once. I've only had, I think, both of them maybe once or twice. Both
Yeah.
very good. Only
Mm.
reason I even went there was because friends went there,
Oh
and
yeah.
I just tagged along and I had something. This is back when I used to eat meat.
Oh yeah. You don't eat meat anymore, do you?
No, I'm actually vegetarian. So
Kind of a cultural thing, right? You kind of grew up as a non-eater
yeah,
of
yeah.
meats.
So I mean, my whole life until I was senior in high school, I didn't eat meat, and I tried it in senior year of high school because friends kept telling me, "Man, you're missing out. You're missing out." And so I
You're
tried it,
missing
and
out.
yeah, I mean, actually, that wasn't the primary. The primary reason was because I actually wanted to get more protein intake because I was like starting to work out. It's not like I was tracking my actual grams of protein taken in and calories like I am now, which is a huge reason I didn't see results. But anyways, that's besides the point. But I started eating more protein because or more meat because of protein, and so I was trying all different types of meat. I wasn't eating too much, to be honest, but Chick-fil-A sandwich, that was one of the things that I tried, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Out of all the chicken that I've tried, that was one of the better ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, chicken is not very. It's a very mild kind of meat, I would
Oh
say.
yeah, yeah,
It's still meat though, so
yeah.
it definitely is tasty. But it depends where you get it from.
Hmm.
I usually don't eat a lot of fast food, and most of the chicken I've had from fast foods, they're not really that good. So the ones I would say that are exceptionally good are Chick-fil-A. Um, what else? Popeyes, I would say they're on the list. Maybe
Mm.
KFC sometimes,
Hmm.
but anywhere else it's not that good.
Yeah.
Like
My
from
mom,
McDonald's, yeah.
my mom actually used to work at KFC a long time ago when she was like 20 years old when she first came
Oh
to
yeah.
America. Yeah, just like as a little side job to get a little extra cash. And she hated it because she grew up completely vegetarian. To this day, she's vegetarian, never had a piece of meat in her life, and will not even go near meat. Yet she had to work at KFC, and it was absolutely horrifying for her. She was like, it was the worst experience I ever had. It was smelly in there. It was like
It is
chickens
smelly.
dying.
I don't know
So,
why it's so smelly. It's just so disgusting.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean KFC is really popular in China and
Oh,
Japan
really?
actually. It's very popular. I think they actually get sold out during Christmas, and by sold
Mm.
out I mean, they have reservations in respect to when you can order your KFC.
Oh my God.
It's a huge, huge thing over there in Japan. They have a bunch of ads for it. It's really weird. They
That's
love the
crazy, man.
Colonel over there. It is, yeah. It's so weird how every country has their own like unique style of fast food,
Right.
and I think in America most of the fast food is dominated by McDonald's.
Hmm.
Uh, what else? Taco Bell, maybe.
Taco Bell's I think it's decently up there. Maybe not like in the top three, but somewhere maybe in like the top 10.
Top 10. Okay.
I'm assuming.
Let's. Yeah, because I know there's different fast food chains all around. Like the Waffle House is mainly dominant in the South, and
Okay.
I never even heard of one of their dishes. I know they
Right.
love chicken and waffles down there. I think that's the big dish. Here
Yeah.
in California, we have most of the In-N-Outs,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
a very popular type of chain down here.
Hmm.
Uh, in Let me pull up a map actually, because I've seen a few maps like this, like the list of. Oh, here we go. I got a map here. So In-N-Out is mainly dominant in California, Nevada, Utah, and Arizona. In especially in the South, Chick-fil-A is actually the
Wow.
most dominant. Okay, and McDonald's is most popular in Alaska, Idaho, Wyoming, New York, Maine,
Hmm.
and what the heck is that? Hawaii's got a different type of. I have no idea what that is. But the main ones being In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A, and McDonald's.
Mm.
And apparently Wendy's is the most popular in New Jersey.
Okay.
Don't know what's going on there. So, yeah. That is interesting to know. People are
Right.
so particular about their tastes. And, I think talking about the obesity and the connection between fast food, I do agree with you on the sense that, too much calorie intake and too much of any kind of food item will eventually lead to obesity. But I
Mm,
think most of the backlash and most of the controversy on fast food is that not only do they provide high calorie items, but they also provide very unhealthy items. Items that
mm,
are known to cause diabetes, items that are known to cause many other health uh, diseases.
right. Those are the
So,
main that was actually the main research I did on, which I'll get into in a bit, but go on.
okay, yeah, let's get into it because I used to be a little fat back in the
Uh-huh.
day, like during middle school, and I remember eating quite a bit of fast food, to be honest.
Right.
And part of the reason why I didn't really exercise a lot, but fast food is so convenient and fast food was so cheap
Yeah.
that uh, it's such a popular decision to make.
Mhm.
So it really does target children, right?
Oh,
There's no
100%.
doubt,
Yep.
no doubt about that. But in terms of like the obesity and the diabetes and the high blood pressure and heart attacks, artery clogging, all these health issues,
Right.
I think most doctors can agree that fast food is not a means uh, of regular food intake. Like it,
Yeah.
it can't be like a usual dinner thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think they would agree on that.
Yeah, I think the one of the based on the research I've done, it said that you shouldn't have fast food more than 3 times per week. That was the number that they gave, and it was just
Okay.
simply based on, I mean, just an overall holistic view on everything. Preservatives, and I'll get into more of the preservatives because there's like a breakdown of the different types of preservatives, and it's not just preservatives that are the worry. There's more things to worry about in fast food that people don't even talk too much about. Um, a little bit more complex stuff, but like chemicals and stuff like that. But did you have anything else to
That's
say
very
before I go
concerning.
in? Yeah.
Not really, to be honest. I mean, we can all agree that fast food in America is the backbone of just the cuisine and
Oh yeah.
of just everywhere in America.
Yeah, yeah. Especially for people who are working long jobs, like let's say people, some people are working 2, 3 minimum wage jobs.
Especially here in LA. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind of like the usual day-to-day schedule. It's you
yeah.
go to LA, you work your two jobs back to back, you come home, you don't really have time to cook because you
Hmm.
live so far away. Like it takes 2 hours to get home due to traffic or something like that, maybe even more.
Yeah.
The most convenient thing is to get some fast food and not really think twice about it.
Oh yeah.
You're tired, you're hungry, you want to get home, go to
Oh
sleep,
yeah.
repeat. Kind of a bad
100%.
life.
100%.
People do it.
Yep, yep, yep.
So in
All right.
respect to the chemicals, yeah, I'm really concerned about that.
Yeah, so let's get into that a little bit. So, the idea is okay, so there's a few different things that I did research on, just kind of skimming through around and whatever, just basic bad things about fast food. And there are certain things that I agreed with, certain things that they were exaggerating a little bit, I think. But let's get into it. So, the first thing is that fast foods are very high in fat and sugar and just calories. We already talked about that, right? It's very calorie dense, very fat, has a lot of, in terms of the macronutrients, there's a lot of fat in there. And there's a lot of sugar, right? You have all these like specialty drinks, you have all these like super crazy chocolate caramel fudge lattes and cappuccinos and whatever, right? Starbucks and even McDonald's, right? They just dunk sugar in there because it just makes it sweet, sweet, sweet. And then if they try to advertise healthier things that are sugar free or less sugar, they're still very, very sweet because they need to make it tasty for the customer. So how does it become sweet without sugar? There's all these little chemicals that go into it, like what are those sweeteners called? 0 calorie sweeteners, like
Like in next to the coffee sugar, or
yeah,
like in
yeah,
those little,
like
these are
those
just called
things.
sweeteners. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, just sweeteners. Yeah, uh, things like that. So typical fast foods, we talked about this, like crisps, burgers, pizzas, drinks, milkshakes. Milkshakes are a huge thing, right? You go to In-N-Out, you'll go to McDonald's, any burger joint, Sonic, you'll find these shakes like Oreo cookies and cream, different ice creams and whatever, filled with tons of sugar. People don't look at the facts on how much sugar there really is in these drinks. Anyways, so some of the negative side effects we talked about. One was obesity, which is obesity is just basically too much body fat, right? And that comes from excessive amounts of calories. And on top of that, I'm going to get into this later on, is some of the chemicals in the fast foods actually destroy your digestive system, which causes you to store more fat. Like you'll get different types of gastrointestinal diseases and that sort of thing, and it slows the whole process down, right? There was a stat where I read this years ago. It's not even in my notes, but I remember it because it was such an insane fact, and I think I might have even told you this a long time ago, was that the average American at age 65 has 5 pounds of undigested red meat in their belly, because it's just so heavy, it just doesn't digest. And if you go to places with all this red meat, you'll and you're consistently going there all the time, over and over and over. By the age of 65, that's the average American. Right? Some people have more, some people have less, but that's the I guess the general sort of number. So heart disease. Heart disease is linked with an insane amount of eating fast food, because it's caused by saturated and trans fats, which are high in cholesterol. And if you take in, there's a certain amount of cholesterol that's actually healthy for you, and you need it and you can get those from saturated fats. It's actually extremely important for testosterone functioning, right? Testosterone is actually made in the testicles by extracting some of the cholesterol. And
Really?
Oh yeah. It's a
Okay.
key part. It's a key part in testosterone and hormone functioning. So that's why you need like healthy fats, right? But you need only the right amount. But typically, again, like fast food will just dunk it in fat, and not the
Yeah.
right types of fat. Like trans fat is no good for you. So you should have zero trans fat, as little trans fat as possible. Anyways, so heart disease, 80% risk of dying from heart disease for those who regularly eat fast food. That's one thing. So type 2 diabetes is another one, and this is caused by blood glucose and sugar levels that, your body just can't adapt to like an insane amount of sugar intake. So at a certain point, your body just doesn't use insulin properly. Insulin is sort of this, I don't know if it's a hormone, but it's something that regulates your carb and sugar intake and that sort of thing. So if you eat too much fast food, too much sugary things, your body just doesn't, use it properly. And so it causes instant blood sugar spikes and things like that. So over time, your body just can't make enough insulin to resist that sugar. And so
Okay.
it causes
Nice.
type 2 diabetes. Yeah. Not really nice, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So the definition of insulin right here is a hormone produced in the pancreas by the
Yeah.
insulins of Langerhans,
Right.
something in the body, which regulates the amount of glucose in the blood, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And the lack of insulin causes a form of diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's a
Yeah.
big deal right there.
Yep.
It's the idea behind fast food is, okay, it's unhealthy to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
So you should really know how much your limit is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though yeah,
yeah.
go for it.
I would say it also depends on what type of fast food you eat and what you eat, because, well, for example, let's say type 2 diabetes. Most of that type 2 diabetes will be caused by eating high amounts of sugar. So it depends, right? Like if you're going to fast food to get like milkshakes all the time, or if you're going to Starbucks all the time and getting specialty drinks, the chances that you're going to get type 2 diabetes are very high. If you're going to McDonald's all the time and getting like fried, like burgers and fries, which are, they have sugar, but they're not as high in sugar as like the specialty drinks and whatnot, you're probably going to have another risk of another disease, right? Like what was it I talked about? Heart disease, because of the high amount of trans fat and saturated fat. So different types of fast food, I would say, cause different types of risk, raising the risk for different types of diseases. But yeah, you were saying?
That makes sense. I think I've heard so many talks about diabetes.
Yeah.
Every doctor has their own opinion, and every nurse has their own opinion. It's so I've heard some theories that um, you know it's not the high intake of sugar that causes diabetes; it's genetic. I've heard
Mm.
other arguments
It could be
like,
partially. Yeah.
yeah, I guess that could play a degree, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I also hear things like, it's uh, not the particularly the sugar, but it's other types of unhealthy chemicals that enter your body. It's like a certain mix. Uh,
Mm.
some deny the whole thing of sugar all alone, where it's like, oh, sugar doesn't cause diabetes; it's something else.
Mm.
But
Okay.
there's so much disagreement out there in respect to health, and
Right.
it's kind of concerning because even in America, the whole healthcare system, it's so complex and it's not corrupt, but it's such
Right.
a shifting platform. You have all these companies and you have all these different I would say affiliates who just push their own agenda and they push their own health codes. It's it's overwhelming.
Right.
You don't know who to follow.
Oh yeah, yeah. Definitely. There's you'll see, especially, and this is also a key problem in like the bodybuilding community. People will talk about like, oh, this person said this and this person said that. This person said it's not okay to eat soy protein because it has estrogenic compounds in there, and you'll see other other professionals verifying that information, but then you'll see some saying that that's not true. It's only caused by excessive amounts of soy protein or whatever, and that's not just talking about soy protein. There's so many different issues in the health, especially regarding dieting, that provoke a lot of, I guess, uh, emotion charged, arguments or points, I guess, points of view on certain
Right.
topics. I heard.
Hmm.
I'll give you one example. Especially me being vegetarian, I had to research this. People will say, so to have a healthy body, you need healthy functioning levels of different hormones, right? The combination of hormones that you have running in your body, things like serotonin, estrogen, cortisol, testosterone, things like that, right? So, one of the key studies that have been done is that people who don't eat animal protein, they don't get, they don't have, they cannot optimize their testosterone levels. They were saying that animal protein, in specific, the specific, protein is made of like different peptide chains. Health can get very complicated, right?
It is.
But
Yeah.
and so different like peptide chains and whatever, or not peptide chains, amino acids. That's what it was. And so those are very important for, I guess, testosterone production. But then you'll have, there was another study saying that vegans actually have higher testosterone levels because the animal protein that they eat, that non-vegans eat, actually raises cortisol, which is the stress hormone, which happens to be the opposite of testosterone. So there's all this complicated information, and it could be both
It's so
in certain
complex.
ways, but it can get very complex at times, and you have to kind of experiment a little bit with your own. I think there's a certain base level of knowledge that everyone can agree on that fast food in general, like if eaten in excessive amounts, is bad for you. But how it's bad, we don't know. Like some people will say it's very bad. Some people will say, okay, it's not as bad. Some people will say it causes one disease. Another person will say it causes a different one. But in general, I think the consensus is that fast food in excessive amounts is not healthy.
For some people, fast food is probably the only option that they have in respect to feeding themselves
Yeah.
because it's so abundant, especially down in the south. I think
Hmm.
fast foods are pretty much dominated neighborhoods in respect to being so convenient, being so close, being so cheap that
Hmm.
they target a lot of low income neighborhoods and a lot of low income cities and towns. I think
Right.
the fast food company is very sneaky in that way, where they can target certain demographics so precisely that they can pretty much hook a bunch of customers, so they can
Yeah.
constantly build revenue higher and higher and higher each year.
Mm.
And that's evident in respect to an example I can give about Starbucks. They really are everywhere in LA.
Right.
And I think, when did Starbucks first begin to like emerge? Starbucks in
Good
LA
question.
beginning, because there was a time, folks, where Starbucks did not exist in LA.
Oh yeah.
And I think I remember in in my lifetime, maybe when I was like really young. Da 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 da. Trace black and white. Nothing up yet.
Mm.
What the heck? California judge rules that coffee requires cancer warning. Okay. Uh, let's see. Da 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 da. Yeah, I mean, Starbucks is another thing we could talk about. I mean, there's that saying that, I heard the coffee's free, but the cup's for $6 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's all about the label. It's all about the name.
Yeah, practically. I mean, I'm I'm sure if people made their own coffee at home, it would be literally like not even, I think it would be like around 25, like 20, 25, 30% of the original price of Starbucks. Like the coffee in and of itself, like the beans are not really that expensive. It's mainly, the branding, Starbucks, right? It's the service that Starbucks provides. It's more like, oh, we're gonna give you a nice experience. You come in, you listen to nice music, you can do your work here, free Wi-Fi, all that sort of thing. So
Well, that's really when they
apparently,
tapped into the culture.
yeah,
That's how they got a lot
yeah,
of the individuals, like the millennials and things like that.
yeah.
Okay, here. So I got some history on Starbucks itself. The first Starbucks opened in Seattle, Washington, on March 31st, 1971. And from there, I'm on Wikipedia right now.
Mm,
From there, um, sales and expansion in 1984. The original owners of Starbucks, led by Jerry Baldwin, um, purchased Peet's, which is a different company apparently during the 1980s. Total sales of coffee in the U.S. were falling, but sales of specialty coffee increased. Okay. So, forming 10% of the market in 1989 compared with 3% in 1983. By 1986, the company operated 6 stores in Seattle and had only just begun to sell espresso coffees. So, it
yeah,
looks like they started getting really big around, let's see, 1987 is when their revenue went from uh, or they went up to a revenue of 73.5 million in the year of 1992.
mm,
Company's market value was 271 million by this time. The 12% portion of the company that was sold raised around 25 million from the company. Yada yada yada. In July 2013, over 10% of in-store purchases were made on customers' mobile devices using their Starbucks app. They
mm,
really What they did was smart. So they were really involved with the culture and they were really involved with the technology.
yeah.
They
They
really
have like gold
capitalized on that.
memberships and on their
There's that
like
too.
apps, and they're like, okay, well, if you buy nine, like let's say Starbucks cups, you'll get the 10th and 11th one for free.
So,
That's how they
yeah,
get you.
apparently in May 2008, a loyalty program was introduced for registered users of the Starbucks card. Previously
Mm-hmm.
simply a gift card that offers, this loyalty program offers perks like free Wi-Fi, internet access, no charge for soy milk or flavored syrups, and free refills on brewed drip coffee, iced coffee, and tea.
Right.
In 2009, Starbucks began beta testing its mobile app for the Starbucks card, and in 2012, November 14th, Starbucks announced the purchase of Tivana for
Yeah.
620 million in cash, and the deal was
Mm.
formally closed on December 31st, 2012. Sorry.
Mm.
This goes on and on. In August 2014, Starbucks opened their first store in Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
Mm.
In 2016, they opened their first store in Europe. That's pretty recent. It will
Yeah.
no. It announced that it will enter Italy, its 24th market in Europe. Okay, no, they've been in Europe for quite a while.
Okay.
Uh, the first location opened in Milan by 2018.
Hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty recent.
Yeah, they're still expanding. I thought they would be everywhere by now, but I guess not.
Yeah, same.
They're certainly everywhere in LA. They're like in every corner.
Oh yeah, literally every corner.
People love their coffee.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just Starbucks did it right
Yeah, yeah.
throughout their history, throughout the whole entrepreneurial stage.
No, their business
That they
model was very nice.
It was, yeah. And you can't really doubt how much of the culture they're involved in, right? So they're constantly staying relevant, they're constantly staying up to date in respect to the culture. And if they ever get some kind of like backlash or some bad press, they immediately respond with some kind of like gesture or some apologies because they really don't want to lose that image of themselves.
Yeah, yeah. I remember specifically. I'm sure we've talked about this before. The whole racist thing that happened with the Starbucks, and they had to close it down for one whole day to train their employees.
That was
Do you remember
scary.
that? Yeah.
Throughout America, Starbucks was closed for a day.
Yep.
Imagine
Yep.
all the money that was lost. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
But, it's companies are so afraid nowadays of the culture. They definitely are.
Mhm.
So you have companies like Google, companies like Twitter, uh, Starbucks, other companies that are so relevant in respect to social media.
Yeah.
They're not really controlled, but they're really influenced by that kind of norm, that kind of platform.
Yeah.
And fast food companies, they really tap into that kind of platform as well. So you have Wendy's being very sneaky with the tweets that they have. Have you seen those
Yeah.
tweets that they give out?
I haven't seen them, but I've heard of them.
Yeah, so apparently they're really good at Twitter.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, fast food, it's forever going to be here.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I'm sure it will be because there has to be some sort of convenience for food when not everyone's going to be, cooking. And it's simple. I think it's simple economics too because if there's a high demand for a certain product in the market, and fast food is probably one of the highest demanded, things, there's going to be a big supply of it also. They're going to have to meet that demand.
The amount of supply chain that each fast food company pertain is crazy. Uh,
Hmm.
let's see if I have some facts here in respect to that. The supply chain for beef and pork gets complicated quickly. McDonald's buys beef from thousands of ranches, each with an average of just 50 cows. Oh, okay, so they outsource like crazy.
Hmm.
That contrasts with just two main U.S. suppliers for chicken. McDonald's said that with chicken, it has a clear line of sight from farm to table. McDonald's says it could also see meat shortages if it moves too quickly to antibiotic-free pork and beef. So that
Hmm.
was a big thing that we're talking about. McDonald's, their response to customers wanting their beef to be like all natural and antibiotic free.
Hmm.
McDonald's says that if we do go all natural and don't put any antibiotics, we're concerned about uh, the amount of shortage we'll get in our supply, and also it will be very hard to maintain like diseases. It'd be very hard to control like bacteria and things like that. Because with the processed meat that they do on the usual, they say they can manage like a lot of chemicals better and a lot of bacteria better.
Yeah, yeah. It's similar to there are a lot of chemicals that are some chemicals that are in like soaps, for example, right? Um, Things called phthalates, xenoestrogens, and those like they're these compounds and chemicals that really disrupt the endocrine system in the body. Where so the point is that right, soap is used to clean your hands, and you kind of need to wash your hands before you eat anything. Otherwise, there's a lot of bacteria that gets in your mouth and your body, and it just causes all sorts of other problems. So you need to kind of wash your hands with soap. And these chemicals like phthalates, they kill bacteria, but they also disrupt your endocrine system. So there's kind of a downside there. If I mean, not excessively, but it does, and it's kind of like a cost benefit analysis, right? Where it's you still are gonna wash your hands. That's a way better option than eating with dirty hands. So it's kind of like a give and take, but I'm sure that that whole concept can be applied to foods too. Some of the chemicals that they use, it prevents a lot of these diseases and bacteria, but these chemicals also cause like other side effects. Like, um, I've even have some of these written down actually. So synthetic additives, that's what they're called.
Okay.
Preservatives are considered a synthetic additive. The preservatives typically, it says it in the name, right? Like they preserve the food. There are certain chemical compounds that prevent it from spoiling, right? Because they don't know exactly how much supply that they need to maintain the whole supply of whatever foods that they have. Then there's other things like thickeners, where like it thickens, like,
Thickeners.
yeah, like they thicken the food and certain sauces and whatever. And these thickeners give it, I guess, a richer sort of taste, but they're chemicals essentially. There's something called emulsifiers. Emulsifiers, if you scan, any of the fine print, if you look at any of the fine print on processed foods, whether it's in the grocery store. I mean, I guess it's only in the grocery store, right? You're going to find some sort of emulsifier. So I have a list written down here. Ingredients such as polysorbate 80, carrageenan, polyglycerols, xanthan, and other sort of gums, all of which keep ingredients, often oils and fats, from separating. And
Hmm.
so it says here they're also used to improve the texture and shelf life of many foods found in supermarkets, such as ice cream and baked goods, to salad dressings, veggie burgers, non-dairy milks, and hamburger patties. These emulsifiers, um, they actually end up. It's a rising. So basically, there's some sort of correlation between emulsifiers being used in fat foods and rising obesity. So it causes more fat storage because there was a study released by the journal called Nature, and what they found in this study was that metabolic rates actually went down from that, and there were different diseases like inflammatory bowel disease, and that were caused by these emulsifiers, because they actually destroy a lot of the microbes in your gastrointestinal tract, or your gut, your gut bacteria that help
Oh,
digest your food.
yeah.
So if it destroys that, and then you're gonna, it's your digestive system doesn't work as properly. So um, that's a lot of what it is, and so it's funny because the U.S. Drug Administration, actually, the FDA actually approves this. They approve the use of these emulsifiers, and they appear in many foods that are actually considered healthy too, because you know emulsifiers apparently actually help to reduce trans fat also, and gluten. And you see those like healthy products out there that are like gluten free, trans fat free. They're labeled as if they're organic or non-GMO. They're healthy products, right? But to get to that healthy state, again, they had to use emulsifiers, which are bad in their own way. So, I mean, it's like you can't get away from these things, they're just everywhere. Um, then there's another one called stabilizers. Stabilizers, they're this sort of substance that they're categorized again under the food additives, and they basically smoothen the texture of the food, and they give it sort of a definite body. Because usually fats and oils and sort of these sorts of compounds that are made in foods, they separate from each other. But if you use a stabilizer, it's kind of like it stabilizes the food. It sort of mixes and mashes it all together,
Hmm.
and it binds the food together. So food stabilizers are usually confused with preservatives, but there's a major difference between the two, and that's that stabilizers are actually used to it maintains the physical structure of the food, and preservatives usually prevent the spoilage of food. Um, but that's what it
Yeah.
is essentially. It increases the stability and the thickness of the food. Yeah,
Yeah, they
go on.
really have
You're gonna
spent a
say
lot
something.
of research into this, all the science and all the
Yeah.
chemicals and all the preservatives and all the fats. It's no doubt that this empire of fast food and just food in general, it's so connected to the American economy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy because I think California, do they consume the most fast food? Who consumes the most fast food? Uh,
I would think it's maybe Louisiana, but you said that was obesity, huh?
that's
And that could be
obesity,
caused
yeah.
by anything else. I don't know,
Anything
to be honest.
else? Yeah.
I'm
Which
assuming it
state?
would be California because California has the biggest population.
We do. Yeah. Um, and we also have the biggest economy out of all the states too.
Yeah.
Um, the most fast food. I think it's somewhere in the South, to be honest.
Mm,
Because my brother-in-law visited the South for business, and he says they have a ton of just greasy, fat food, and um,
really?
it's a lot of unhealthy just choices overall.
Right.
Um, so let's see here. Oh, ad blocker.
Those are the best ad blockers.
Well, yeah, I have ad blocker on, so when I go to like Business Insider or Forbes, they're like, "Oh, you have ad blocker on. Make sure you disable it to read our content." I'm like, "I don't want to,"
Yeah. I know.
so I just leave. Uh,
Yeah.
want fries with that? That's the name of the article. No, I want obesity rate. La, la, la. That's 2010. That's not recent. Um, states with the most fast food restaurants per capita. Okay, so I guess we can say that the most fast food restaurants equals the most fast food consumed. Is that a
Uh,
safe assumption?
I would say so. Yeah, probably. Wait, the most amount of fast food, as in like the most number of stores relatively
Yeah,
to the
number of
population.
locations. Yeah.
Yeah, probably because there would be a high demand for fast food in that area, so they would have to open up stores. I'm assuming.
Okay. Here's the top three. So per capita, so number of fast food restaurants per 10K residents by region.
Mm.
So we have number three, West Virginia,
Okay.
5.3 per capita. Nebraska, number two, 5.4 per capita. Number one, Alabama, 6.3 per capita.
Whoa, 4 point what? 4.5 or what was it?
6.3 for Alabama.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm saying for number two. My bad. What was number
Oh,
two?
Nebraska, 5.4.
5.4 to 6.3, right?
Yep,
Yeah, that's a decent jump. So
that's a big
Alabama,
jump.
huh?
Alabama, wow. And I
Yeah.
think Alabama is the state with the lowest IQ. I hate to say that in that way.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, I think they have the lowest amount of high school graduates, and also they have the
Wow.
lowest amount of like education
Okay.
or something like that. But they do have the most amount of college sports. I think, like the most amount of college participation in sports.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So they do prioritize over there. Um,
Nice.
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I guess we guessed it. The South.
The South. Oh God, that's such a bad. I feel so bad now for saying that.
Why is that though? Why do you think that is? Why? What is it about the hot South, the dry, humid
Who
South that
knows?
gets
It
people
might
just
be the
hungry?
culture. It might be the just the geographic area, like the weather patterns, and
The
it
weather.
could be just I guess the different types of occupations that are out there that require maybe more fast food. Right? There's more farmers out in like the eastern and southern parts of
It's a
the
lot of open land,
U.S.
I
and
think.
yeah, open land, that sort of thing.
But would it
So
more farms equal like healthier options? Maybe
yeah, you would think so, right? Because they're like actually, it's like real food. I don't know. I guess I don't know.
it's not a bunch of chemicals, yeah, from like
Yeah.
factories. I think what it is, it's the lack of education. To be honest, down there, I don't think there's a lot of effort into putting thought into your health and putting thought into your physical well-being.
Right.
So down there, impulse pleasure is so accessible that you know it's almost impossible to resist.
Oh yeah.
I don't mean the trash house in Alabama. I've never been there. They're probably lovely people.
I've actually been to Alabama.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had an aunt who lived there temporarily, and we visited her. Or we had a family reunion there back in 2010, and
In Alabama.
yeah, Alabama. Not. It was a very humid place. Oh my God, very humid.
Oh, yeah.
Um, didn't get to meet a lot of people there, so don't really know. But I don't particularly remember seeing a lot of fast food, although we did go eat fast food at that there. But I don't remember like being like, wow, this place has a lot of fast food. Because I'm sure that
Oh
that
yeah.
difference is sort of subtle. It's not like you're gonna pay attention to that. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's the life down there is so different. People talk
Oh
different.
yeah.
People think differently. The culture's very different. It's
Yeah.
strange.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, compared to the California, the way we are brought up,
Mm.
yeah, we could say they're kind of weird compared to us,
I guess so. Yeah.
because they're the ones who eat like chicken and waffles. And it's like, why would you put those two together?
I know,
And then put
right?
syrup all over it.
Oh man.
You're kind of asking for that for those diabetes.
I know.
Crazy,
Actually,
crazy.
I did want to get into one thing that I've written down here. It's that so have you heard of pseudo stressors?
Pseudo stressors.
So the
No.
idea behind the pseudo stressor is that these are things that cause stress to the body that are, well, in this case we were talking about fast food, right? So all the things that I mentioned before, emulsifiers, stabilizers, flavor enhancers, preservatives, thickeners, all those things, right? These synthetic additives to the foods, they are pseudo stressors because they increase stress on the body. And the stress hormone is cortisol, right? So that also actually has a negative impact on. Okay, so let's start from the beginning here. So there's three main hormones that well, let's talk about temporarily, okay? So there's cortisol, estrogen, and testosterone. These are three hormones that basically compete. You have a certain amount in your body and the certain amount that your body produces. And there are something called androgen receptors. Androgen receptors bind to certain amounts of each of these three hormones, and they utilize and extract whatever benefit or whatever effect that this hormone has on the body. All right. So there's a limited amount of androgen receptors, and these three hormones fight for those androgen receptors to be used in the body. So typically what happens is when you eat foods like fast foods that have high amounts of synthetic additives, there's going to be an increase in your stress hormone, which is cortisol. And if cortisol is being more utilized by androgen receptors, there's going to be less room for testosterone and for estrogen to bind to those androgen receptors and be used by your body. So it negatively
Okay.
impacts estrogen and testosterone levels. And so this is also, I mean, I'm sure you know this, like we talked about how fast food has a high amount of sodium. And if your body takes in too much sodium, it causes your blood, what's it called? Your blood pumping, what's it called? Blood pressure to rise also. And stress in general. So, I mean, that's one thing to consider or think about, when you're eating excessive amounts of fast food. There's just so many negative side effects that are not really talked about. You know what I mean? And okay, then there's also apparently loss of appetite. It doesn't satisfy the tracts of the digestive system. But then again, you can also say that fast
you
food
never
will
feel full?
increase appetite.
Okay, that makes sense.
But based on whatever research I did here, it says that you actually end up losing appetite. And it's another thing we didn't talk about is waste of money, right? When you buy fresh ingredients, you save a lot of money compared to you're buying from a business who is trying to maximize their profits, and they're going to charge you a higher amount than that food is really worth, right? Because they're giving you the service of actually making the food and preparing it for you. So there's that, and then you have
Wait, for fast food?
for fast food, yeah. I mean, it's cheaper than when you buy food from the grocery store, and you make your own food. It's definitely cheaper. Fast food is definitely cheaper than restaurant food, but it's still more expensive than home cooked meals. And that's typically like one thing that I remember my parents always talked about how this too. And I saw this. The reason I wrote this one down is because I saw it in a video too. But my parents would always talk about this too. When we didn't have as much money as we do now, there was a time when my dad had to save a lot of money, and my parents in general just had to save a lot of money. So one of the biggest things they would do is they would always home cook their meals. Almost every single meal had to be home cooked. Nothing was like fast food was more expensive if you actually calculate out,
Yeah, that does
the
make
things.
sense over time.
Yeah, yeah,
Fast food is more of like a going out experience, to be honest.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Like in your social circle, you go out after like whatever you're doing, you go out to go eat after.
Yeah,
It's that kind of setting.
definitely, definitely. What else? What else? So it says here, okay, so irregular eating patterns. Eating at home provides the proper rest and digestion time for foods. I didn't think that was like a too big deal, to be honest, but I wrote it down anyways. Do you
Okay.
think? Okay, so one of the things that I found out based on the research, a negative side effect of fast food, and I didn't. I mean, this is true, but I feel like it depends. A lack of family gathering, meaning it hurts interpersonal relationships with friends and family because you don't eat together at family dinners. How much of an impact do you think that has?
That's an interesting point. I'm not too sure. Maybe because with my family it's different. Whenever we get like fast food or something, we're always like in the room together or something like that.
See, that's what I was thinking too. So I think it depends. I don't know. I don't know. I felt like that was a little. Those are what were one of the exaggerated things. I'm like, okay, now you're just trying to make fast food look extra bad. Although you do have a certain point because I'm sure there are families out there that don't sit down together for a home cooked meal, like on Thanksgiving or whatever, because they eat fast food.
Well, I think what they're trying to paint there is fast food being available to a lot of, I think, young people, and uh, young people usually don't have that mindset of being together with the family often, especially when they get fast
Mm,
food. Because when you get fast food, it's fast and convenient, and you're not really looking for a sit-down experience with it, right? It's a quick bite, it's a quick eat,
yeah,
unwrap it, put it in your mouth, chew a couple times, throw it away, and that's it. It tastes good,
definitely.
whatever. There's like no meal prep. There's no cleanup afterwards, right? All you gotta do is uh, throw it in the trash. Like you don't have to wash dishes, or you don't have to like put away the glasses.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think there's that dynamic that's different in respect to like a meal and fast food. Because
Hmm.
whenever I eat, I cook at home. It's like a meal setting for me, right? So I have to I have to cook, and then I get to eat, and then I have to clean up, and
Right.
it's a big kind of process. But with fast food, it's just you have a bag, you have the tacos in the bag, you take them out, you munch on them, and then you just throw away the bag. Wash your hands, maybe.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's so much easier. Everything's done for you. Like
Yeah,
no washing dishes, no cooking the food.
yeah, it's so much easier.
Yeah,
So I think they
definitely.
had that mindset, to be honest.
Mhm. Mhm.
Does make sense, actually.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing here is have you heard of peptic ulcers?
Peptic, I have not. No, what is that?
So PUD, peptic ulcer disease, is actually it's like this acidic sort of thing that happens inside your stomach. I don't know exactly any much about it, but doctors believed for so long that peptic ulcer was caused by stress, alcohol, or spicy foods, right? And it's like this whole acidic thing that goes on in your stomach, too much acid, right? But apparently, what they found was the most common culprit is actually fast food. And now it could be because fast food, like we were talking about before, is a pseudo stressor, meaning it increases the body's stress, right?
Really?
And yeah, remember we just talked about that?
Yeah,
The pseudo stressor, the cortisol, and the hormones.
yeah. That's.
So
I want to get back to that, but go for it. Yeah.
yeah, so so if it causes more stress, then maybe that's what causes more of the peptic ulcers. Maybe not the fast food directly,
Oh, I see
but
what you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it could be, again, doctors believe that for a long time, stress, alcohol, and spicy foods were what caused peptic ulcers. But again, fast food was found to be that way. But because it's a pseudo stressor, it could be that the stress caused from eating excessive fast foods because of all the synthetic additives could be That could be the correlation there because of causing peptic ulcers.
You know what? I kind of feel that right now, to be honest, because I just had fast food, and I don't
Uh-huh.
feel full,
Okay.
and I think that's part of the chemicals inside the Big Mac and whatever. But
Uh-huh.
um, I don't feel completely calm. I feel uh, like I need more fast food in a way.
Oh wow, really?
Like I need something to eat or something to make me full. Because usually when I eat around this time, I'm full, but I'm not right now. So that
Oh
fast food
man,
wasn't really a meal for me.
that's
Interesting.
crazy.
That is
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
What about you though? How do you feel when you eat fast food?
To be honest, I don't really take notice.
You just
I
eat
I'm
it
not.
and
I just eat it. I like it, and I'm just like,
it
hey,
tastes good.
cool.
It goes in my
I'm done.
mouth.
Well, okay. I'll tell you one thing. I think it depends on the fast food, right? To be honest, I know I say I eat a lot of fast food, and I do, but it's the same fast food. It's not like I don't.
Oh,
I
so you're used to it. Your
so
body has
rarely
adapted.
have. Yeah, maybe who knows?
You become one with the Taco Bell.
I know, right? Basically, Taco Bell man.
It's in my blood.
So I don't have McDonald's. I don't go to burger joints very often. I very, very, very rarely have sweet drinks. Um, I don't anymore. I remember when we used to hang out, we used to go to Costco and get those like coffee, what is it?
The mocha. Yeah.
Mocha frap or whatever. I don't have anything like that nowadays because it was just so bad. And whenever we used to go to Denny's, I remember every time I would get mozzarella cheese sticks and I would get the Danish, or not the Danish, the French toast. And I would feel like crap after. I would not feel good. It was like my body it was just too much salt from all the sodium in the cheese and then too much sugar from like the syrup, and my energy just was down. And you remember, I'm sure you remember, right? Like I just
Yeah,
wouldn't. I
I
would feel
do.
so
You were
like my
just
energy
like
would be lacking.
drained. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't eat like that anymore, or not as often.
Well, I think
But
for
Taco Bell
your
typically that's what it is. Yeah.
I think for your body type, I think it takes a lot to digest, right? So it takes a lot of energy to digest in general. So when
Yeah,
you have a
probably.
big meal in respect to like the Denny's dishes you used to have, it's all of your energies being directed toward breaking all the food down because there's so many chemicals in it and there's so much like starch and there's so much fat.
Right, right.
And I think your body's not really used to all that fat because you've been skinny for quite some time, right?
Yeah, yeah, decent amount of time since like,
Like,
I mean, I was chubby for a while, like for 3 years when I was younger, but I lost the fat very quick.
maybe this is genetics because your dad's really skinny too.
Oh, very, very. Huh. Yeah, genetics plays a huge role on like your fast food intake and your body types and that sort of thing too, right?
I think
Have you heard
so.
of the three body types that are out there?
I think you've told me about it briefly, but I forget.
Yeah, so there was the ectomorph, the mesomorph, and the endomorph. The endomorph was is basically a shorter and stockier, person. The mesomorph is the middle ground where it's like, you're a little bit taller, you're a little bit, I guess, more fuller, or less full than the mesomorph or than the endomorph. Ectomorph are the taller and skinnier guys who have harder time putting on mass. And
And
so
you're the exomorph, the ecomorph.
I think I'm pretty sure I'm the ectomorph. So, based on different body types, they'll tell you you should eat different macronutrients to help you gain weight and that sort of thing. It's, again, very complex stuff, but, and I remember you were saying in the beginning of the podcast that it's very individualized to certain people, right? And I'm sure that's the case. You have to make your plan according to your own body type, your genetics, the current, hormone levels that you have, the current micronutrient intake that you have, your cultural background, and the foods that, your ancestors used to eat for a long time affect your body, that sort of thing.
I think for Mexicans in general, just comparing
Yeah.
the body types, a lot of them are short and stocky, and
Right.
most of the Mexicans I know do eat fast food on a regular basis. It's
Yeah.
it's like a craving. I know my dad does often. My brother does often too. He loves fast food, and
Right.
my sister does often. It
Mm-hmm.
think it just runs in the family. I think I'm the skinniest person in the family. Actually, I am actually. I
Right,
am the
right.
skinniest person, and I weigh like 215.
Oh, dang. Yeah.
So I don't know what
Yeah.
to actually categorize my body type. To be honest, I never really looked myself in the mirror.
Uh huh.
I'm tall, right? Not that much taller than you.
Right.
I am heavier, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
do have uh, maybe my thighs are bigger. I
Right.
know I have
Right.
a lower mass that's heavier than yours.
Would you
Um,
say it's easy for you to gain weight or harder for you to gain weight?
I would say it's easy for me.
Okay. You're probably,
Yeah,
I think
it's
you're more of a mesomorph, to be honest.
a
Wait,
mess
not,
of
yeah,
more.
mesomorph. I think you're probably in the middle. I don't know, to be honest, because I don't think the height is like set in stone. It's not like if you're between this height and that height, it's like this. It just
Oh,
so
okay.
happens that the ectomorphs are typically taller, but they're skinnier and they just have a harder time gaining weight. Mesomorphs have a little bit of an easier time gaining weight, but they also have a little bit of an easier time taking off the weight than okay, so the idea behind the whole ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorph, right? Endomorphs you'll typically see are like those football players, right? Their football players are pretty tall too, but
Yeah,
they
they are.
gain weight very easily. They just eat a lot and they can gain weight very easily, and that means they can also gain muscle very quickly. But that being said, they can also lose that muscle and that weight very quickly. Their weight fluctuates a lot. Mesomorphs, again, the middle ground, and ectomorphs, they're usually taller, but not all the time. And it's typically harder for them to gain weight. Maybe because their metabolic rates are very high. Maybe because their insulin response is just, I guess, just different, right? That's why they typically tell ectomorphs you need to eat more carbs so that your insulin shoots up and you will gain weight quicker. So that's why like you have to tailor it individually to each person, right? But I would say probably your mesomorphs. I think the main factor is that it depends on how easily your weight fluctuates and how easy it is for you to gain and lose muscle mass and fat.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? It's
I see
hard
what
for
you're
me to
saying.
gain fat, but it's also hard for me to gain muscle. You see? So any weight fluctuation, that's like I mean, there's a give and a take, right? But that's
Okay,
that's a sign of an ectomorph.
maybe I don't know to be honest, because my workout works for me. I don't know really what works for you to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So when you work out, do you do a lot of cardio, or is it mainly just
Oh,
a
not
lot
at all.
of not at all?
Not at all.
Okay.
No, very, very little cardio. For me, it's been the program that I'm on, the Kino Body program. So what I've been doing is I needed to bulk, right? I was at 154 pounds back in August, and I needed to gain weight. My goal
How much
weight
do you
was
weigh right now?
170. Right now, it's 170. I reached my goal.
Oh my
Um,
god, dude, I'm so much heavier than you. I'm like 30 pounds heavier,
yeah.
40.
And so what happened was the idea is I have to strength train 3 times a week. Usually when I used to work out, it was just like high reps and low weight. Nowadays, it's more heavier weight, and I have to keep progressively overloading. That's the concept of progressive overload, right? Every time you get back into the gym, you either do one extra rep or you increase the weight slightly, maybe by like 2.5 pounds. So the idea is you progressively overload on your strength gains, right? You strength train and you lift heavier between 4 to 6 reps your first set, and then you increase it to 6 to 8 reps, and you increase it to 8 to 10 reps.
I should probably do
Um,
that this morning
yeah, yeah.
or
It's
next
so
morning. Yeah,
yeah, definitely. So the idea
I'll
behind
do that.
strength training is it breaks your long muscle fibers down, which that's the idea behind muscle building is you break your fibers down, you break your muscle down in the gym because you work it out. Lactic acid will tear through it and everything like that, and then you eat proper amounts of protein and carbs and fats, and it will help you build the muscle again. So, anyways, the point for me was that I needed to gain weight, and I was having a hard time gaining weight. I had to eat like 3,000 calories a day before I could gain like a decent amount of weight. My goal was 2 pounds per month. Right? If you put on way too much mass too quickly, it's most of it's going to go to fat storage. Your body does not have the ability to build muscle very quickly. It's approximately like 1 to 2 pounds per month, right? So you lift you progressively overload on your lifts every month, or every workout that you come in. You work out. So I work out upper body, the different like push pull workouts 2 days of the 3 days of the week, and then the third day I work out legs. So it's push, pull, and legs. and
Sure.
then just consistent key lifts like compound movements like bench press, your squats, um, pull-ups, weighted pull-ups, that sort of thing. And so you just increase the weight every time, and you make sure you do the same rep range. And as your strength goes up in the gym, that's a key sign that you're building muscle. And if your upper body's obviously growing, your legs are growing, and you can tell, it's muscle mass, then you're gaining muscle in terms of weight. But when you're bulking and you're eating more to gain that weight, most of it's going to be muscle, right? Especially if you eat at the right amount of surplus calories. The rest will be fat. And that's where, I've gained 16 pounds, right? Like 154 to 170 pounds. I'm guessing around 10 pounds is muscle because I can clearly see I've gained muscle, but I've also gained fat, and which is why I'm starting a cut now to get rid of the excess fat that I've gained. Then I can go back onto the bulk again.
Okay.
So that's the idea behind the program, and it's not just Kino Body that talks about this. I've verified it through like 4 or 5 other, I guess, fitness, workout, bodybuilding, whatever, professionals and people. So I'm like, okay, this stuff seems to work, and I've seen the results myself, so I know for sure. I mean, I've been doing like P90X and all that kind of stuff since like high school. It doesn't work, dude. Like your diet. Dude, my diet was not on point. I was eating very little protein, and I didn't even track that because I was a vegetarian too, right? So I'm not eating any meat, barely have any like protein going on in the day. So the second I started actually tracking my calories and the macronutrients, and I set an actual goal, is when I really started to see major results in terms of this stuff. And even if I'm eating fast food, right? Although I should cut back on the fast food.
Well, maybe too much is a little bit of concern, but
Right.
I think it would be difficult for you as of right now to actually decrease the amount of fast food intake.
Yeah, I would have to learn how to cook.
Yeah, I was
That's
about
the
to say
main
that
thing.
because you don't really provide that much for yourself in terms of individual food or like
Yeah. Yeah.
because you don't. I've never seen you cook.
No, I don't cook. No, yeah, I haven't cooked. The one thing I know how to make is chai tea. Actually, I do. I was gonna learn how to make, and this is a very simple dish. I actually had it for dinner today. Was pita bread pizza, where you grab a piece of pita bread, and you have your sauce, whatever you get the sauce from the grocery store, the ragu red sauce, and you put some cheese on there, mozzarella cheese. And it's healthier than the white dough and the all the oil that they fry or the whatever they cook it with in like Domino's or Pizza Hut, right? So that's that.
Uh huh.
I got to learn how to cook though.
Gotta learn how to cook. I think what helps if you live alone. That kind of forces you to be creative.
Yeah, definitely. I can imagine.
Yeah, it honestly does. Because fast food for me, it's kind of it's out of my way. Like there's no fast food place on my way home. And I think that really helps. Like if you cut off access to fast food,
Yeah.
in respect to like distance, then that amount of fast food intake will decrease. Because I haven't had fast food in like a few weeks probably.
Yeah.
Ever since I came back from spring break.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
Do you
part of
have
it.
like dining halls at your college?
They are, but they're too expensive. I don't even go near the cafeterias.
Right. Okay.
Plus, there's a lot of people there. I always bring my own sandwich or something.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
That's where I used to go when I was living alone and in at UCLA. I was like, okay,
The cafeteria.
yeah, I would get the meal plans, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do.
Not worth it, bro.
Yeah, tell me about it. I
Especially
tried
here.
to extract the most from it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I mean here, have I noticed a lot of people eating fast food? I don't think so, actually. Like I notice like employees and teachers that come in sometimes with like an In-N-Out bag or some other fast food joint.
Right.
But as far as the students, no. I think most of them eat at the cafeteria on campus.
Uh
Dude, I'm like really disconnected in terms of like the student culture there.
huh. Oh, really?
I'm not involved at all.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
So there's that going for them. Fast food it's it's a big thing for college students too. It's so accessible, and it's kind of like the go-to meal plan for a lot of college students, especially freshmen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so easy, it's so convenient, and even the fast food places that are open 24 hours, you've got a lot of people at night who eat, which is not a good thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. We should definitely consider having an episode on like just instead of fast food, but just like general healthy eating, like what to eat, like your micronutrients, what those micronutrients do, the functioning of them in the body, why they're
Yeah,
so important to take in, like that sort of thing. I think that would be interesting.
that'd be really interesting. Yeah, we'll learn something from it too.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I've learned a lot from fast food today,
Yeah, yeah.
just in general. What else is to talk about fast food? It's it's such an American thing.
Yeah.
I can tell you that much. It's such a capitalistic type of empire.
You know why I think that is? If you think about it, I think when generally speaking, an economy is doing well and it's going up, a lot of the growth, I guess, that comes from this economy is from fast food. And as you become more and more of a first world country, your country is doing well, the members of society are productive, they sort of, I guess, I don't want to say they rely more on fast food, but I guess maybe that's what it is. Um, because it's you're right. It's a capitalistic thing. You know, you have companies that want to maximize profits, and they're going to do all that it takes to maximize profits. So they're going to, advertise and make it look really nice on television. We talked about ads, right? Like the whole Burger King and Carl's Jr.'s ads and everything like that. How they make it look super juicy, and like the photography and everything is really nice. So as they I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to, again, from maximizing profits, right? So advertising,
Yeah.
ingredients that they add, right, to help maintain the supply of whatever food they have and prevent spoilage, the synthetic additives to make it tastier, to make it more appealing and more addictive to the masses. So it's funny because I remember I read I didn't read this actually. My high school teacher told me this, that Coca-Cola, when it was first started, actually had cocaine in it to make it addictive, and that's why it was called Coke, apparently. And so,
Really?
yeah, I would
I thought that was a
double
joke.
check that. Yeah, it
Okay.
might be. It might be. I would double check that. I don't even know
Okay.
if that's true, but my high school teacher told me that. Who knows if that was a joke or not? I couldn't tell at the time, maybe, but they apparently that was like super addictive and whatnot. So I'm sure
Fact
the Food and
check.
Drug Administration has caught a lot of like these bad things that companies do to make it more addictive.
Okay. Let's see here. Origin. Coca-Cola was named back in 1885 for its two medicinal ingredients: extraction of cocoa leaves and cola nuts. Just how much cocaine was originally in the formulation is hard to determine, but the drink undeniably contained some cocaine in its early days. Frederick Allen describes the public attitude towards cocaine that existed as Coca-Cola's developers worked on perfecting their formula in 1891. Okay,
Yep, there it is.
so I'm on a website called Snopes, and they're fact checking if Coca-Cola contained cocaine. And apparently, when they first started, there was some mixture of cocaine.
Yeah.
How much cocaine was in the mere trace is impossible to say, but we know that by 1902, it was as little as 1 and 4 hundredths of a gram of cocaine per ounce of syrup. So not that much, like a
Yeah.
little sprinkle, just a
Okay.
little. Coca-Cola didn't become completely cocaine free until 1929, but there was scarcely any drug left in the drink by then. Okay.
Oh, one thing we didn't talk about was how it's not just the fast food, it's the fast food drinks. The cup sizes have gotten so large, it's insane. Like you see people with these giant cups, and it's like they fill it with like a whole liter full of not I'm just exaggerating, not a whole liter, but like
Well,
I'm just
gallon.
saying practically a whole gallon of Coke. And Coke, every can of Coke has I think 40 something grams of sugar. 49 if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
44, something like that. According to like health.com or some other website, I don't remember exactly. It was like based on the Heart Healthy website. It said the proper intake of sugar per day should be around 35.
That's
Now, I
39
think that's a
grams.
little bit less. Oh, 39?
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
that's what they're saying.
39. So for one can of Coke has 44, I think, or 46 or something like that. 40 something grams of protein, or not protein. I
Protein.
wish. I wish protein. Sugar is what I meant.
Sugar. The best kind of protein.
So, oh god. So that's just terrible. And so my parents actually, for the longest time, started drinking Diet Coke. And they've stopped
Oh
now.
yeah.
But Diet Coke, I think, is even worse because the ingredients and the chemicals they put in there. My aunt is a pharmacist, right? So she studies up on all these like chemicals and that they use to make all these drugs. And in Diet Coke, apparently there were chemicals that
Artificial sweeteners. Yeah.
or yeah, artificial sweeteners and things like that. Long term, they caused cancer if you drank too much of it, or
Oh wow.
they increased your odds of getting cancer. No, that's terrible. Obviously, you don't want to do that. So I stopped drinking from that moment on. My parents kept drinking for a couple years, but after that, they just sort of like it died down.
Oh
One of
wow.
my friends in high school actually stopped drinking soft drinks altogether as a way of getting more lean and fit. And he was into like fitness and everything like that. And I'm like, wow, that's a really good idea. So back in the 11th grade, I remember I stopped drinking like sodas and all that stuff. And I so rarely, so rarely have sodas nowadays. It's usually just water with my meals. So
Okay, that's what I did too. To be honest, I said, okay, I want to lose a lot of weight, and
yeah,
what the beverages do is they give a lot of unnecessary sugar,
yeah.
and I think all that's turned into unnecessary fat. Is that how it goes? Is that the science?
I don't know if that's exactly the science, but I know for sure sugar, yeah, I'm assuming that's what it is. It's something like that. Sugar, remember we talked about insulin response and
Right.
insulin. So the idea, have you heard of intermittent fasting?
Somewhat.
So intermittent fasting is part of this the Keto Body program I'm doing. So every day, basically, you skip breakfast. It sounds hard, huh? But it gets easier and easier, right, as you go into it. So 16 hours of the day, you fast. You don't eat anything. And you take in all of your calorie intake in the 8-hour window of the day. So maybe it's between 12, you break your fast at like 12 in the afternoon, or at 12 at noon, and you finish eating your last meal by 8 o'clock. So you take in all your calories then. So the idea behind that is not just to help you maintain your calorie mark, but it's also to help you. Your body goes through all these crazy functions that are supposed to help you out, like what is it? Autophagy? Autophagy. It's like
Autography?
a cellular cleansing process that happens only when you're not digesting, and it takes a little bit of time, but you need to let everything digest, right? That's one thing. Another thing was that it suppresses insulin for a long time. So the second you break your fast, your insulin shoots up, and that causes you to apparently store more fat. And insulin it goes out of whack with an excessive amount of sugar intake. So that's why sugar intake too much is bad. That's why,
That makes
yeah.
sense.
So yeah, it's just not a good thing to.
Beverages are a big deal in respect to a lot of unhealthy individuals, because
Mm-hmm.
the Coke companies or the Coke companies, the soda companies, what they
Yeah.
do is they provide a bunch of different flavors, and I
Yeah.
think they recognize a bunch of health arguments out there that were against their product, so they created something called the diet soda. But
Right.
overall, we all know that it's not any healthier, to be honest, because
Yeah.
it's just a different blend of the soda.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So they trick a lot of people in that respect. And the best thing to do is to cut off soda completely.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult for a lot of people because it's addictive. It's always available, right? It's so cheap too,
Yeah.
cheaper
Oh
than
yeah.
water.
Oh yeah.
It costs less than nothing
100%.
for the companies to make. Like for McDonald's itself, talking about a fast food provider,
Uh-huh.
it costs like less than a dime to make the soda and
Oh, I'm
to
sure.
create the cup, and they charge $1. So they're making a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But companies, yeah,
Um,
that's how they do it.
there was a time in the seventh grade I remember I used to eat cereal every morning. Every morning. That was my thing, right? Milk and cereal. And so I would have all my favorite cereals like um, Frosted Flakes and uh, Cocoa Krispies and Cocoa Pebbles and Fruit Loops, I think it was called. Yeah, Fruit Loops, Fruity Pebbles, all this stuff, right? So the problem with that was I realized at a certain point that the reason I loved cereal so much was because of all the sugar that was in it, especially all these like specific sugary brands. So I stopped eating sugary cereals and I decided to start eating more of like the ones that taste like cardboard, like Corn Flakes, like the plain ones and plain Cheerios. And within about 3 months of stopping eating the sugary cereals, I lost about 5 pounds, like 4 or 5 pounds.
Wow, really?
Yeah, within took about 3 months, but it happened, and that was the only thing at the time that I changed about my diet. I'm pretty sure I didn't change my calorie intake. I was just eating like normal. The only thing I changed at that point was that one variable. So I'm sure the result was because of the lack of excessive amounts of sugar. You know.
Sugar's not good.
Yeah.
It's an addictive chemical, and it's taken abuse. Companies take abuse of it. They really do. They take advantage of the chemicals within it and how it triggers our brains.
Yeah. Yeah.
They perfected it. They perfected an algorithm how to get it into our hands.
Yep. Yep.
That's it's funny to think about. Yeah, beverages are a big deal. Sodas, milkshakes, juices. I know Jamba Juice is a big thing, but they contain a lot of sugar as well.
Yeah.
They're so-called healthy, right? Like you can customize
Oh
your
yeah.
drink with like different proteins and things like that.
Yeah.
But
They make it sound more healthy than it really is.
right, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of evident. So beverages are a huge deal, huge, huge.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think even
Um,
frozen yogurt as well.
Oh, hell yeah.
Boba
It's
too.
like, is it
Yeah.
even yogurt? It's more like
Is it?
freaking. It's not yogurt, dude. Yogurt's way healthier than
This
this.
is not non-fat. What are you talking about? There's that whole argument.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like non-fat frozen yogurt. Like, dude, that's
This
not
is too
healthy.
good for be non-fat.
Yeah, it's too good to be healthy, right? If it tastes terrible, it's probably healthy.
Yeah, yeah. It's yeah, I think drinks are a different topic for another day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
So let's see here. We've gone about almost 2 hours.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess that's our whole fast food fiasco. We
Oh
could
yeah.
revisit it every now and then. I had fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Health
do you
in
want just
general too.
do you want to just talk now? Talk about whatever. What's going on?
Sure, we can.
It's up to you.
Yeah, we can do that.
So what's up? How's it going?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Just who knows? Let's see. I've been working on my video today. I got decently far, actually. This video is turning out very beautiful. It's a Game of Thrones
Beautiful.
thing, you know. So.
Yep, you were talking about that. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was good. It was good. So I went to Santa Barbara this weekend. Turned out a little bit better than I expected, actually, but still not, what it used to be. The whole party scene. I used to love partying and throwing parties at my place specifically, and then going out to different parties and socializing. I used to love that thing. Nowadays, I still do, but it has to be a specific type of party. So the thing I went to in Santa Barbara was a friend. Okay, let me start from the beginning. So every major college has a Bollywood dance team, right? And these Bollywood dance teams, they throw competitions where all the teams from different universities from around the U.S. come and they compete. The biggest one, actually, out of the entire circuit, is usually UCLA, and we usually end up winning first place. So our Bollywood team was like a big deal. Anyways, this one was in UC Santa Barbara, and my friend is a big fan of UC Santa Barbara, and she lives around the area. So she was like, "Hey, like I'm gonna go to the main show and the after party for this event." So I went. I was like, "Cool, let's go." And it was all right in the sense that my expectations were very low when I was going, because these types of parties, what they essentially are is a big conglomeration of people partying and dancing in really loud music. They get super plastered drunk, and they just look for a partner to hook up with, right? Or they look for, just, I guess if they come with their friends, then for the most part, it's just like, hey, they just go nuts dancing on the dance floor with their friends, which is fun from time to time. I mean, at least in my opinion, it is. So I didn't know anybody there except that one, friend that invited me. We went with her friends, which was another group of people, and they were really cool, actually. Very, very open, very... I met some decent people who... One of them was also doing another YouTube channel. He was like doing short films and stuff. Anyways, besides the point. But... overall, drove up there. It was nice to get out of the house because I was just stuck in the home. I've been very, very constricted to my area. It was nice to have that drive on the Pacific Coast Highway for a while.
Yeah.
Just looking out at the ocean and, reflecting. And spent the night there and that sort of thing. Just drank a little bit. Didn't drink too much. Controlled my drinking because I didn't want to feel like shit the next morning, which I didn't care about years ago, like 2-3 years ago. I would go for it. But nowadays I'm like, I don't know. I don't really feel like, I guess I'm just past that age. Who knows?
It feels like you've matured much more faster than most people your age. Because usually
Yeah.
individuals with your mindset right now, they usually hit about 30, maybe 28, and they're like, okay, maybe I should take it easy.
Yeah.
But for you, it's a different experience because you've gone through a lot of social dynamics in general.
Oh yeah, a lot. Enough to last me, like, enough to give me peace of mind that, like, okay, I went through that phase. It's okay. My dad actually went through the opposite, where it was like he didn't get any socializing time. He was just, at my age, 20, 21 years old, he's like, work, 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 work. I never go out with friends because that would be spending money on gas. Every little dime had to be saved. So, he feels like he's missed out, and he's starting to go through that scene sort of now. So he has a bunch of friends that he invites over, different family members of different families and whatnot, and they get together, at our place and have like dinner, and they drink and they just talk and whatever, right? I mean, not like the club party scene, like that's a different thing altogether, but
Okay.
he didn't get it out of his system. He feels like, I feel like I could have socialized more. I feel like it's about time that I do that now. So he's going through that now. I've gone through that.
Okay, yeah. That's
Yeah.
sounds like a fun weekend, yeah. A lot of Indians, I assume.
Oh, most of them were Indian. Most of them, and it was a different crowd. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be like racist to my own race or anything like that, but
You
they're
have
different.
the
Let's just put it
privilege
that way.
to do that.
Yeah, I
Imagine.
guess. But they're just they're so, oh my God, talk about drama, man. You would absolutely hate it. These people would not be your type of people. I promise you that.
Oh yeah.
Did you
Did you think that when you were there? You're like, Matt would hate it here.
I 100% I did. Like, not just you. I thought my friends in general would hate it because, I mean, I can't even handle that kind of environment so well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not that I can't handle it. It's that it just takes too much energy and it's not worth it. It's just excessive drama. I remember, even to be honest, and I hope she doesn't listen to this, but my friend that I went with, her friend, not my friend. My friend is like chill. I've known her for a while, but her friend was actually trying to get back with an ex-boyfriend at the party.
Yeah.
And she just kept on. Oh, there's another story. I'll tell you about that in a bit. I don't want to get too much into that in this podcast because that's more private. But I'll
Okay.
tell you about that after or
Sure.
later on.
Why not?
But this girl, she kept trying to. Her ex-boyfriend was gonna be here. She's been dating another guy apparently, but she's only with the guy because like she just wants a boyfriend, but it's not. She doesn't really like him, and she flat out said this in front of us. Right? She's like, I don't know how to feel about that or what to do about that. So like I don't know. She came to this party because she knew her ex was gonna be there. And I know who her ex is, sort of. Like, I've seen him around a couple times. Decently tall dude. He's decently social guy too, right? So this guy, she tried to get try to get his attention somehow by like not making it very obvious, but just by starting bullshit conversation, and it didn't work. Right, the guy just kind of blew her off. Like he was just kind of talking to someone else. Like I was kind of ignoring her, and that kind of killed her night. And then that mood sort of transferred over to my friend and I, because we were all together in our little group. So it was a little bit annoying, but I can understand like we talked about this whole like alpha beta dynamic. Like if the ex-boyfriend is an alpha male, like it's hard for a girl to get over that guy, and she could be with another. She's an alpha widow, exactly. There's literally a term for this. Right?
There's a term for everything, folks. Yeah.
So, but anyways, it was just drama like that is excessive in Indian people, and you'll see it everywhere. People, they'll try to get excessively drunk to have an excuse as to why they like hooked up with their ex-boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. And they'll always shit talk each other behind each other's back. It's just not a good environment. It's very toxic for long-term friendships. For short-term partying, it's fun because they're very energetic people, but for long-term friendships, not typically a good crowd to be around. And I'm not saying that about every single Indian. I'm not going to say that at all. But
okay.
Because I've had very cool Indian friends that have actually told me the exact same thing. My close Indian friends have told me the exact same thing. They're not close with other Indian people because, again, it's just a totally different type of drama. They're very much like into the whole status game. They have to they play very Machiavellian tactics with each other, gossip, shit talk, all this kind of thing.
Feels like the American way for most young students nowadays.
Really?
I'm pretty sure
it's this on steroids. Let's put it that way.
Okay. I feel like this kind of culture is across all demographics and all races. So especially in the Latino community and the Asian community, especially in the Asian community, and the Indian community.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so evident that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's the social game. It's the social dynamic. We've had conversations about this before.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, sounds like a good weekend, to be honest. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, decent getaway. What about you?
Yeah, nothing much. Stayed home. Went to the gym. Kept
Studying,
busy.
midterms, or finals, right?
Finals are sometime mid-May.
Right.
Yeah. So those are coming
almost
up.
over, man. You're almost done.
I know, right? It's coming up quick. It's good to know. All right.
Yeah.
I guess we'll call it an episode now.
Nice.
All right.
Fast food / social dynamics.
A little bit of difference at the end.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks for listening.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.